coming to the mic to speak the truth and set your soul free so that you can breathe fresh biblical air that will leave you saying, now that was a word. Pastor ALH, come on and speak to us, Pastor.
Let me say once again, I do apologize for the delay. I apologize for having the technical difficulties that we are having on today. But I do welcome you. We do have a special guest. I think that she is on. I cannot see her. So Cindy, if you can hear me, just go ahead and introduce yourself. I am looking to see where. And if you guys can hear me out there, I do apologize again if you got on and we weren't ready, but we are having some difficulties. Go ahead and just send me a comment to let me know that you guys can hear and see us. I am excited for this message. It is one that is asked a lot of. It really is, because people are seeking every day to get a sure foundation. They're wanting more and more to establish relationship. And one of the most important things that we can have during this era, especially with the times that we are in, is relationship. As a pastor, I've never adopted the theology of religion, especially not traditional religion, because I'm all about relationship. If you have a commonality with something or someone, you spend time with that person. If you have something where you're loving on a person and it's significant in your life, you spend time with that person and you get to know that individual, you get to know their ways about them, and you get to know who they are as a person. That's no different than the relationship between us and God. When the free will doctrine, which has been studied over time, is something that if you can't see me, just give me a minute. I'm trying to send out another email here for our guest who's having to log back in. And once again, I apologize. Listen, things happen. Things happen. We're having some technical difficulties, but we got an amazing topic for you today. So don't worry. We are slowly but surely getting lined up and asking for some favor and patience on today. But anywho, like I was saying, with the free will doctrine that has been taught over the years, it is that gentleman aspect of God. It's that gentleman doesn't do anything, but he doesn't make us. What happens is the invitation is there. Jesus Christ says to us as blood-washed believers that I've come to you to give you life. And not only just to give you life, but life more abundantly. And so with Jesus Christ going to the cross and everything happening to the spiritual realm, when that veil, the veil was not torn until the crucifixion. After Jesus ascended up to heaven, that veil was torn. And when that veil was torn, you, me, we all had access. We all had access. It's man that has stepped in and changed different things. It's man who has stepped in and has decided. You think about the Bible itself, the canonization of the Bible from the Roman Catholic Church, which if you're on my Wednesday night Bible studies, you will see that it is, hold on one second, I apologize. I'm sorry, you guys, give me 1 second. Okay, all I can do is apologize, you guys. All I can do is apologize. We are having technical difficulties, but prayerfully, hopefully, my special guest, she's an amazing woman. She's an amazing woman of God, and she's so rooted, and I just truly adore her and her story. However, like I was saying to y'all as we get these kinks worked out, is that God is such a gentleman. He could absolutely make us. He could absolutely make us do anything, but He's such a gentleman. He says in the Word of God, "I stand at your heart's door and I knock." I know. He's waiting for that invitation for you to let him in as an individual, to let him into your life. And so when you think about the canonization of the Bible, like I was saying, the Roman Catholic Church, many centuries ago, and if you are in my Wednesday night Bible study, you know this fact. I teach this because I teach Wednesday night Bible study utilizing the King James Version and the Apocrypha. The Apocrypha were the books of the Bible that the canonization during the Roman Catholic era decided to remove. They decided to remove these books of the Bible, and they decided what we were going to have to study with. And that is where religion comes in. And I've always said, I don't want religion, I want relationship. It is so important to in a relationship with your spouse. You take your children, you take your best friend, take your sisters, and you think about those relationships. The only time when you really know a person is when you spend time with them. And religion doesn't give you that. Relationship does. And so today's topic is one that's very dear to my heart because as a get it all of the time. And now that I see my beautiful guest going on the screen, I'm so grateful. We had so technical difficulties. And I'm like, Lord, please. Because she's one of my favorite persons to talk with about a particular subject because she lives an authentic life. Ever since I've known her, and I've known her for some years now, she lives an authentic life that shows up and shows evidence. She's not a Bible believer. She's not an old boys down person. She's up. She lives her authentic truth. So I definitely want to capitalize on all of our time that I absolutely can on today's topic. I'm going to introduce you all to my very, very good friend, my sister, retired Sergeant Major Cindy Lisbon, as we get ready to talk about spirituality, looking and feeling in your spiritual realm and saying to yourself, hey, how do you be authentic and live in spiritually versus religious in the religious trappings? So before we dive into it, Cindy, please introduce your wonderful self and tell all of my guests just how much I love you and how absolutely amazing you are. And thank you for your service, ma'am. Retired
Oh,
well. So go for it.
can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, great. So thank you. First of
I
all,
know, right?
thank you, thank you for asking me to be on your show today. It is well appreciated. I love to talk.
Yes. And I love it because you love to talk. Love
So I'm Cindy Lisbon. I'm a retired United States Army Sergeant Major. I did 26 years, 2 months, and 28 days, if we're being specific. I'm a mother of four.
count them up.
Uh, every day counts, okay? I'm a mother of four. I have two biological children and two bonus children. I have been married to my husband for 25 years as of last month, and I'm loving life. So, in a nutshell, that's me in a little bubble.
Okay, can you tell our listeners a little bit about your background, your raising up as far as church, or how do you affiliate with that? And where days for your spiritual ground?
So I grew up in the church. I'm from Barnwell, South Carolina. Okay, it is a small town, a very small town, but with wholesome people, very good people. And so my mom is a Baptist, my dad is a Baptist. I grew up in the church from the time I was born till about the age of 21. I went to church with my mom and dad. I went to my dad's church. Um, I was trying to think of the name of his church. Can't think of it right now. But my mom's church is Rosemary Baptist. But I was baptized at the age of 12 or 13. I went to the revivals, the Sunday schools. I did the Easter speeches, etc. So for 20 years of my life, I was heavily involved in the church because my parents did it. Um, and when I joined the military, I don't want to say I use it as an excuse, but when I joined the military, because I didn't go to church anymore, I kind of didn't want to go to church anymore. And it wasn't because I fell out of love with God or church and church beings. It's always about people. And I say that about anything. It's never the church as a whole, the army as a whole, an organization as a whole. It's the people within. However, you know, I try and live right and do right. I just witnessed so much hypocrisy by those who are supposed to lead and teach the word that I not turned away from the church, but turned away from the building of a church.
Absolutely.
Because a lot of that left me confused when I saw people who were supposed to be doing right, not doing right.
That
So
does.
I am a woman of God. I'm a woman of God. I am a believer. I follow my instincts, and I use the Ten Commandments as a guide, if you will. But at the end of the day, when you ask me to talk about being authentic and living spiritually versus religiously, it resonates with me because I tell people often that I'm more spiritual than religious. And I only say that because under the umbrella of religion, I look at it as people who are um, living the word through the means of going to church on a regular basis, getting up to hear the word, either in person or virtually, and following the teachings of someone specifically, pastor, minister, reverend, um, under that umbrella. And because I don't do that, I don't want to claim the title of being religious when I know I don't follow those, the guidelines that what I envision as a religious person doing. So that's why I say to people often not that I'm not religious. I'm more spiritual. And for
Amen.
me, I'm not trying to be perfect. I'm not trying to be fake. I'm not trying to do anything but live in my purpose and live in my truth and just live an honest life with a purpose. And I do believe there's a calling on my life. And I have been doing things that I think, based on what I know to be the truth in the Bible, to be pleasing in the sight of the Lord. So even though I don't go to church as a regular church member, I still believe that because I'm doing and living just, that I'm being rewarded. Because I tell people all the time, I have been blessed, been blessed my entire life. I come from a two-parent household. My mom and dad and I, and my sister, so it's four of us in my nuclear family from my mom and my dad. We went to church on Sundays. We ate together for Sunday dinners and weekday dinners. We watched TGIF on Friday. My mom and dad just celebrated 50 years of marriage. I just celebrated 25. You know, not hurting for anything, and my needs, not my wants, but all my needs are met. So with that being said, I feel like I'm living a blessed life.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I must say, you're truly one of the most authentic friends in my life. And I love it. You guys see me joking, hey, I love to talk, but I love to talk. I love to hear her talk because of her foundation. Cindy's foundation shows that it's not about those 66 books. is about that relationship, and she's rooted and grounded. Do you know how many people, and just from your experience, Cindy, how many people, like you were saying and alluding prior to, they're supposed to be, because what faith is not measuring to what they're expecting them to. And that's where church hurt comes in. I've counseled many people that are asking the same question. Well, Pastor, I was already struggling, but I feel like I'm struggling more. And it just turns them away. They have that sour taste in them. Living authentic to yourself, to know that, you know what, I'm rooted in you. And you don't have one, you don't have two, you have four young ladies that are looking at your life as the example in how to be a better woman as they come into their womanhood. And I know you don't take that job lightly. And other nieces and nephews and adopted on their social media realm, watch. So how do you stay true to your authentic nature as you operate in a realm where so many say, well, make a decision, are you religious or do you have a relationship?
You know, so I wrote this down because what you said just resonated with me, but I knew this was probably stirring the conversation of children. And I read this, I don't know if you want to call it a meme or just a quote, but it goes, one day your child will sit across from someone and explain to them what it was like to be raised by you. Make sure it's a story worth telling.
Oh,
And so
wow.
I just saw that maybe 2, 3, or 4 days ago. And I'm always a person who is thinking, I'm raising young ladies. Okay. So the biological children are 13, to be 19, but my bonus daughters are 27 and 28. And I've been in their lives since they were 2.5 and 1.5. And so they've always known me to be me. And I've had conversations with them. And so when I have those conversations with them, I'm proud of what they say, what they think about me. Now, as they are adults, living their own lives, but how they were treated by me, not being their biological mother, when I had, you know, time to make an influence on them.
Mm.
And it's positive because, the relationship between a stepmother, and stepdaughter is an ugly thing.
Yes, ma'am.
But for us, luckily, it turned out to be a beautiful thing. And I say all the time that blended families are beautiful. I said to my husband, let's see, we've been married 25 years, almost together 26. But I said to him, when I married you, I married them. They were already in the picture when I came into the picture. So if I wasn't willing to be a mother to his children, then why was I getting with him? Because there's not a part-time parent. Even if you're not in the home, I don't believe the concept of part-time parent. So having said that, when I married him, I married them. And so I care about what they think of me. I care about how I'm projecting myself. And when it comes to my children, again, because I'm raising them currently because they're 13 and almost 19, I care about the women they're becoming. And I know they model my behavior because I see it. And then when talking with them and I ask them why they're doing something, they'll say without hesitation, because I saw you do it. And so now, not now, but because I know that it's happening, I am very aware
Bluetooth connected.
and how I'm taking care of business in the home and outside of the home. So it can't be a front. It can't be fake. It can't be, just for aesthetically pleasing purposes. We're real in our home
I can
because
about
life outside is not life outside will eat you up. And I said to my children on many occasions, I'd rather embarrass you in the home and we had these comfortable conversations, you have them with me, then you'd have them out for you to have them outside in the street with someone who doesn't care for your well-being, and now you're embarrassed or on the news or worse.
Say
So
that.
I'm not afraid to have those uncomfortable conversations with my children.
As a rooted spiritual woman of God, and thank you for sharing about your marriage. One of the things I absolutely adore about Cindy, and know y'all over there and follow her on all social media outlets. Listen and gonna say thank you. Say bye. If I can't have it, thank y'all. But one of the things I absolutely enjoy about Cindy is her full transparency. With that, children, which there's so much important in our lives, and a blended family. I have two myself, two boys, but I have so many adopted ones. But in our professions as career women, what was your take when you stepped in the field? Because you've been in the police realm your entire career. And most times these areas of policing and military, these are male dominated roles. How did you take your spirituality in with your truth? I know from what I've seen, but I want you to speak from your heart how you became that sergeant major with that foundation. How did you transfer it over to your truth when you served?
Okay, so when I joined the military, I was 82 pounds. I was so underweight by the Army standards that they were like, girl, you have to eat. So at the end of the day, I gained 35 pounds of basic training. I left weighing 117. I'll never forget because my contract said service member must weigh 109 pounds before she can graduate, in essence. And I gained those pounds because I was in Alabama. I was in Alabama when the privates had to stack trays. I didn't. They were like, sit down, Ingram. And I used to cry in the chow hall. And the ladies were there, the black grandmas in the chow hall. They were like, baby, why you crying? I'd be like, because I got to gain weight. I got to eat. And so they made sure I gained the necessary pounds. But I gained those weight. I gained the weight. I weighing 117. I literally gained 35 pounds in basic training. But my point of that is,
I think you're the first person I've ever known had to gain weight.
I was skinny. Well, understand, I don't have that problem now. Look, God has been good to me.
Exactly.
And I was also shy in the sense of I had an outgoing personality, but when it came to certain things, I was reserved and shy and in my own, I'll say lack of confidence era. Like I lacked the self-esteem that I needed for the Army at the time. And so my mom was saying that when I joined the military, that it was going to break my spirit. Like she was going to see a different person um, in me as I joined the military. She had watched some, military movies, and maybe the PTSD thing was in her back of her mind or something like that. But she thought it was going to break my spirit. She thought it was going to change me. And lo and behold, I'm the same person in the sense of being her child that left home. But as a service member in a male-dominated U.S. skill, which is 75% male and 25% female at the time, I got to my unit. I was the only female, the only private, the only black. So you have to grow up real fast because I didn't know if I was getting it. And by getting it, getting it, whatever it happened to be at the moment, I didn't know if I was getting it because I was female, because I was private, or because I was black. And I was in Schweinfurt, Germany. So I was way, ways from home. At the end of the day, my platoon sergeant, Sergeant First Class Victor Garcia, I will never forget, said, look, you're going to have to do what needs to be done. If you want to progress in the military, you're going to have thick skin, you have to be a team player, and you have to excel in PT. And I excelled in PT. And so my my starting grades to having less people pick on me, if you will, was to be a PT stud. So I became that. And then it became, well, in order for you to have less people tell you what to do, you had to make more rank. Well, that meant that you had to be better than the next person. You also had to step outside your comfort zone. So I was always volunteering for schools. I was always volunteering, to go to the range. When I went to the range, I was qualifying expert, anything that could set me above my peers. And so I ranked fast. So I went from private first class to sergeant in the span of 3.5 years. But then I went from the span of private to master sergeant promotable in 18 years. And so for the MP Corps, that's unheard of because most people rank master sergeant, sergeant major when they've got 26, well, not 26, about 22, 24 years time in service. And here I was with 18 years in, and I had made the list for the highest enlisted rank, which is sergeant major. And I retired at that rank. And I attribute that to Victor Garcia putting his foot in my butt early on, telling me what I needed to do. And the goal was the more you make, less people have to tell you what to do. The less people there are telling you what to do. I also attribute it to my husband because he saw something in me in the leadership aspect that I didn't see in myself. And he told me that I was going to make sergeant major. And when he retired in 2009, he said, I'm going to retire, but I'm going to support you. Don't worry about the home front because at that point I had one child in the home. I'm going to take care of all this stuff. You go out there and be great. And so I attribute that portion of me being able to not worry about what's going on in the home and able to focus on my job to my husband because he held it down while I was working. And I thank God every day for him. Because there are days when I didn't want to do anything. And when I came home, guess what I didn't have to do? Anything. Okay.
Did that support transfer over to your troops and how you led them? Because seeing those types of, as you mentioned with your mom, military movies, if you will, those that that's never been before, right? They get an idea, but they really don't know. And you have to be so much in those spaces. My best friend.
So I'm not sure if you can hear me, but your mic is muted.
Can you hear me okay, Cindy? It clicked out on
Now,
the. Okay, good, good, good. I was saying how, my very best friend, whom I lovingly call my Mia Moore, he's such a support. There's nothing that I don't present to him that he's not saying, go for it, do it. He's the catalyst and the reason why I'm going for my doctorate. And when you speak about your husband being that support and you speak about Mr. Garcia, who's helped you along in your career, all of that impacts your spirituality, which then impacts those that you are commanded to lead. So, how did you get into those spaces spiritually and leading? Because, like you mentioned briefly with your mom, so many that have never been on foreign grounds, the families that's left behind, if you will, they don't know what's happening over there. And you're entrusted with someone else's son or daughter. And that can be very impactful, regardless if you are so rigid to your religious or you're so kind hearted that you are spiritual. I know that's a weighted question.
No, no, no. So it resonates. It resonates with me on so many fronts because I am simple in my thought process when it comes to people. I
Mm.
believe that people you are who you are at your core,
Mm-hmm.
whatever that may be. I mean, you can grow up from those things, but who you are at your core, that's who you are. And I believe I'm walking in my purpose. And part of my purpose is mentorship and empowerment. With that being said, being aligned with the people aspect of things, I, I've always thought, no matter what leadership position that I had, that is somebody's child.
Amen.
And so when I was a drill sergeant, the privates would only have so much time to talk on the phones. Maybe on a Sunday they could talk on the phone, but not my privates. My private would say, Drill Sergeant Lisbon, it's my son's birthday, or Drill Sergeant Lisbon, it's our anniversary. And guess what I did?
Allow them to
They got on
speak.
the phone and they called home because if that wife is home raising her children while her husband is in basic training, she's stressed.
Mm.
She wanted to hear his voice, even if it's only for 5 minutes. That unexpected call on a Tuesday when she knows that he can only get a phone call on a Sunday because Drill Sergeant Lisbon let him call home to say happy anniversary. Or that child who is 1, 2, 5, or
Mm.
9 or whatever age doesn't understand that daddy is away for training purposes and can't call them on their second or third birthday. All they know is on their third, fourth, fifth, ninth birthday, they didn't talk to their daddy. So my mind frame has always been as somebody's child. When I was a first sergeant,
Mm-hmm.
they were still somebody's child. And I was a first sergeant at
Amen.
35, 35 to 37. And when soldiers do stupid stuff, soldiers get put out of the army. Depending on how severe it is, they get put out of the army with consequences. So when I saw a not a child, because they're not a child, but it's somebody's
Mm-hmm.
child. When I saw a soldier going astray, because the first thing I did when I was a first sergeant was I talked to soldiers one-on-one with a personal data sheet. So if I looked at the personal data sheet and let's say the kid's mama was Miss Mary or Miss Shirley. Let's say the soldier was late for formation, kept doing a lot of things that were out of character. I look at the personal data sheet and I'd be like, would your mom be proud of you right now? Would your mom be proud of you right now? Let's call
Mm.
her. You call a few mamas. Call a few mamas. They tend to get right. And then the other aspect of it is I was like, you're someone's husband. You're somebody's daddy.
Mm-hmm.
Your family is depending on this paycheck. The second and third order effects of things.
Yeah.
Do you know that if we recommend you for some kind of, UCMJ punishment, you're going to lose money? Now, as a soldier,
Mm.
if you do everything right, every year your pay is supposed to go up, either by a general raise or a rank increase. You don't want your money to decrease.
Mm-hmm.
And so I would always talk to soldiers. They would mock me at the safety briefings because on Fridays they would get a briefing saying, what are you not going to do this weekend? Because when soldiers have free time, that's when they mess up. When it's structured 9 to 5, 6 to 5, they do pretty well. But on the weekends, they kind of cut up. So we give them a safety brief. And I would say the same things, what are you going to do? Not drink and drive, not, beat your spouse, not, get in any trouble, not shoplift, things that soldiers would get in trouble for. And so they would, at the end, I stopped giving the safety briefing and I had them give it. But they would give it as if they were First Sergeant Lisbon. What would First Sergeant Lisbon say? Well, she would say, and they would mock me.
Mm-hmm.
But many a soldier said to me, First Sergeant, I thought about somebody was doing something crazy. And in the back of my mind, I heard you giving a safety brief. One soldier
Mm-hmm.
broke down who got a DUI. And I had to call that mom and say,
Jesus.
fill in the blank name will be coming home soon. because they did this.
Mm-hmm.
And instead of the soldier being, well, they were upset that he got a DUI, of course, because they could have made, better decisions. They were mostly upset because they disappointed me.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think, you know, with any organization, those organizations, if you've got good leaders, they take on the characteristics of the leader. And so if you're invested in people and you care about their well-being, the well-being of their families, you never have to worry about those people working for you. They are willing to work for you. And as a
That is so
soldier,
true.
there is nothing more important than knowing that the leadership has your back. So if you should have to go down range and make those decisions that could have you come home or not, you want to have those leaders who care about you enough
Mm-hmm.
to teach you the right way to, to not make those decisions that's going to be detrimental to you or the unit. And so when I think about
Amen.
um, how my spiritual alignment with religious undertones and overtones had kept me grounded is because I'm a
Mm-hmm.
believer. Um, my
Amen.
mom, my dad, my family members, you know, I got a praying mama, I got a praying daddy, I got a village of people who will support me. I've never felt alone. Now there are times when I've been lonely, okay, but I've never felt
Mm-hmm.
alone because I know that there is always somebody that I can call on. Rank irrelevant,
Amen.
race irrelevant, gender irrelevant. I know if I ever got in a bind, there is somebody I can call on. And so I just,
Amen. Amen.
that's life. That's life.
And one of the things that you said, and I started smiling because you need that connection and that foundation. My best friend is currently out of the country in Costa Rica, and something took place the other day, and I just wanted 5 minutes. 5 minutes. They don't have good coverage out there. All of this stuff is going on. I'm aggravated because, like you say, you just need that voice, that reassurance. So, with that being said, how much of it can you turn around and look at your past and say, because of not religion, because this is a relationship. You have a family unit, and like you say, your village. This is a relationship that was fostered over time since you've been born. So as you turn around and look back, how much of it can you say was attributed to the foundation that you were built up with? You have an amazing story. In a sense, it's an anomaly anyway for the two-parent home. It seems like it's been one parent so many times over. Both of your parents there. You said you had that Sunday dinner. You had these family gatherings. I've heard you say your sister is your first best friend. Y'all are 5 years apart, and you would think that y'all are twins, joined at the hip sometime. Beautiful relationship. But all of that foundation had to start from somewhere. How much
My
of
mom
it
and my
can you say?
my
Yes.
mom and my dad. And so we are, I will say it again and over again. I am a blessed being. We
Mhm.
come from a family of marital success. And I say that because my mother's mother and father were married to death did them part. My husband's father and mother were married till death did them part. Um, my dad's mother and father were married to death did them part. And coincidentally, Patrick and I are two divorcees who found love. Like, they all were married to death did them part. For lack of better words, we got married to somebody else and was like, we done, and divorced them. And then we're divorcees that found each other. I mean, so there goes that.
That
But
happens.
25 years later, we're still together. But hey, you got to know when to call it quits.
Yes,
Now if
Lord.
you ain't no longer
Yes.
something you need to hold on to. But the
Listen,
foundation, my
three
mom.
ways of escape according to the Bible.
But But my mom and dad, solid foundation. Like I said, growing up, I mean, looking back on it, I was like, we can afford that. But all of our needs were always met. Now, we didn't always get the wants, because I wanted a whole lot of stuff. Didn't get it. But everything I needed, my mom and dad made sure that we had. And we were loved. We were loved. We grew up in love. I felt love. And to be almost 50 and have a close relationship with mom and my dad to this day, I'm blessed. Today happens to be my sister's 45th birthday, and so she is my best friend. And we say, 5 years apart, but one heart, because the coincidences when we talk about things when we're not together that we did on the same day around the same time, or how we're raising our children on things that we haven't spoke about, it's not a coincidence. There's some kind of telepathy going on when it comes to me and my sister. But the solid foundation my mom and dad built, no doubt about it. From what I saw from them in the marriage, to how I saw them treat other people, to their community service in our community, to how they raised us and my sister. And when she, became a mother, how they were as grandparents. A lot of the things that I do as a parent now is because I mimicked what my mom and dad did. And they have such good qualities. They're very humble people. They don't ask for much. But they're always there.
Amen.
So again,
Amen.
I'm blessed in that respect. But the foundation that they built, no doubt about it, gave me the start that I needed. But and because they're still there, I'm still able to, ask those questions to my mom and ask those questions to my dad. I'm learning more now about my mom and dad, because as a child, you don't ask your parents certain questions because you're a child. As a child, mom and dad will say quickly, saying the child, grown people talking.
In a child's place.
Right. When you become an adult, you got your own family, or you're just having, casual conversations when you go home and just talking. You learn so many things about their childhood, their way of thinking, or why they did what they did. I remember seeing something somewhere via social media, and someone was saying they love their parents and they forgive them for their shortcomings because they were doing what they knew. When you know better, you do better. And so had they have known, they would have done better, but they didn't know.
Yes.
So, yeah, bless my entire life.
Well, I'm glad you said that, because that leads me to my next question for you. In this bubble of living your authentic, and God help us, there's so many that are inauthentic, unfortunately, in this world. Living your authentic life that has gotten you through your scholastic and childhood years, that's gotten you through an amazing military career where you rose up in ranks. What happens now on the other side of retirement, spiritually, when they come and say, I just need Cindy, or I need Cindy to pray for me. I need Cindy's foundation. Can you pour into me? What happens with your foundation, and what do you do with all of this spiritual goodness on this half of your life?
So when I retired from the military in 2022, everyone was sure that I was going to get a job because I was always a worker bee. I was always, because I'm in sorority, so I was always Sora Lisbon. I was always First Sergeant Lisbon. I was always Sergeant Major Lisbon, right? When I retired, I wanted to just be Cindy because I had never been Cindy, ever, as an adult, because I joined the military when I was 20. I turned 21 in basic training. So I had always been a title something. I just wanted to be Cindy.
Okay.
So in this chapter of my life, I got a chance to just be Cindy. I didn't hold a position anywhere. I wasn't anybody's quote unquote leader. I was able to be wife and mommy. I was able to attend all the kids, they're not kids now, but I was able to attend all of the school events for their children. I was able to be there for the sports events. We were able to go where we wanted to go without having to look at the calendar could not go because we're scheduled to do something with this organization, etc. I was able to just be me. So I provided a lot of mentorship. I was able to do a lot of volunteering. I was able to get to know my children a little better because as they get older, the conversations get less and the distance gets greater because they're coming to their
Amen.
own, be by themselves. You don't want to be a helicopter parent, but you want to know what's going on. So you have to have those conversations to where they know that, I'm not getting in your business, but I'm in your business. I don't want to know what's going on, but I would like for you to let me know if something is not kosher that we can discuss. And they should always be able to feel like they can come to you to talk. And so at this stage of my life, I am living my motto. And so my life's motto is I'm simply living a life of purpose, on purpose, out loud, and unapologetically, because I just want to be me. And so when it comes to this stage, 3 years of not doing anything. And when I say not anything, I mean work wise, as in receiving a paycheck for a good or a service. However, now I just did my resume about about a week ago is when I got the final draft back. And so I'm going to put myself out there to see what's out there. Not necessarily going back to work, but the reason why I did a resume after almost 3 years of retirement is because I still have aspirations of this is not the end for me. I retired from the military. I'm retired, but not expired. There is still something I feel that I can give to a business, or if it's working for myself. I want to write a book. Um, I want to, because I do a lot of creative stuff with Canva and graphics. I want to see where I can go with that. But I want to do something that is of purpose to me. So someone else may look at it and be like, "Oh, that's not really too much," but I don't want to be stressed. I believe in peace of mind. I want to be able to say no. I don't want to commit to anything for the sake of earning a paycheck. So if it's not aligned with my purpose, if it causes me stress, or if it's something that's going to cause angst or trouble in my home, it will be a no-go.
And how do you tie all of that in your spiritual journey? Because early on, you did give us a little taste, a little glimpse into, God has something for you to do.
I'm waiting. I am waiting. Because I don't know. I keep telling Patrick all the time. I said something is going to happen. I feel it. I don't know what it is. I just want to be ready, and I don't know what it is. And so that's why I did the resume. That's why I did the outline for my book. I have a title for my book. I haven't written it yet, but I'm in the process of doing that. I was also accepted for the doctor's program. Haven't started it because I'm not sure if I want to do that commitment. But I, did apply to see if I would be accepted. I was accepted, and now I'm just waiting because I don't want to rush into anything, and I don't want to chase a title. But I'm also the parent who says I can't ask my children to do something that I'm not willing to do. Not that I can't do, that I'm not willing to do. And so we focus on higher education in our home because, back in the day, they said if you wanted to keep something from a Black person, put it in a book. So
Yes, Lord.
I'm always reading, and I'm always trying to do better by myself because I don't just want to exist. I want to live, and whatever that living looks like while I'm living in my truth. So
in that living, how do you carve out, and how does your girls, especially those that are exactly in the home with you, how do you carve out that spiritual space for them? How do you, when they have those questions of church, religion, relationship, being spiritual, being non-spiritual, because a lot of people don't even know this, and I learned this early on, even before I went into seminary. There are over 5,000 religions on the face of this earth, and all of them say that they're right. So when your children ask you those questions, when your core village asks you those questions, and as you get ready to propel out to this second half of your life, how do you group all of that in and be authentically Cindy?
Mm, mm. I just walk in my truth, what I assume my truth to be.
Mhm.
I don't want to be fake. I don't want to be phony. I don't want to put on airs. You know how they say, or it has been said, um, just be honest, just be truthful. Don't tell a lie.
Mhm.
Because when you
Mhm.
tell a lie, you gotta remember who you told it to and what you said. But the truth never changes.
Never changes.
And so I think like that. I'm not
Mhm.
telling somebody something, this person one thing, and someone else another. I'm saying the same uh, speech or spill to everyone. So no one can say I changed up on them or I changed this or she didn't always think that way. Now it's okay to change your thought process because it's about growth. And as you again know
Mhm.
better, you do. But for me, um, I'm just literally trying to live an authentic life and what I assume it to be. Um,
Yeah.
I don't know. I think I would have to dive deeper into that question to really give you a concrete answer. But off the top of my head, I'm just keeping my truth to be the same. So whatever I think,
Mhm.
whatever I'm saying to someone, one person, I'm saying to another.
Amen. Amen. And that was one of the things that I absolutely adore about you. I don't think that there's ever been, and for the listeners out there, let me just put it like this. You know how you meet some people and you say to yourself, man, I wish I would have met them sooner. Cindy's that person for me. However, I know God makes no mistakes. She has accepted me in every role that I play, whether I'm being pastor, and we both have very similar senses of humor, and we will crack each other up. There's so many commonalities there that has built this friendship that I'm glad that I teach, and I even said it this morning during worship services while preaching. I don't believe in being delayed nor denied. I believe God knows exactly where we're at and we're right on time. And I
Mm.
glean so much from your authentic life. And that's why I wanted you to come on to share with the listeners out there just how refreshing it can be to say, yeah, I was raised like this. But as I come into my own, this is my foundation, and I'm not saying it doesn't exist, but I'm living my authentic truth. And I know I'm blessed. I know I am. I'll never say God doesn't exist. I just know that this is where I'm at, and I love my life. And I've not wanted for anything, and He continues to blesses me. He blesses you beyond measure sometimes. And it's an awe to see you as an awe inspiring woman of God, and that foundation that it is a relationship. You can never come up to you and get anything else but REAL. And that's what the world needs more of. And I do hope that whatever you're getting ready to do in this second half, that you set this world on fire. You're going to be that fire that okay, just for humor me. How many times have you walked into a place and someone walked up to you and be like, it's just something about you?
Mm.
Can you count them? You probably
Not
couldn't
even.
count them. You probably get that a lot of times. Like you said with when you were talking about your soldiers, they would be upset because they disappointed you.
Mm.
That means you've poured that much love into them, that they respect you that much. The only way you love like that, and I've never said this to you, but I'm going to say it today. Cindy is an empath. And I don't know if she knows this or not, but she's an empath. And she is one that is so rooted in her love that when you're going through, it will affect her. And sometimes it's a physical effect. And as an empath, and trust me, I know what I'm talking about. I know because I am one. And I believe in my core, Cindy will weep for someone she doesn't even know. We had a woman to woman, and she's like, sometimes there was a cry, but there's also that cry for that soul. You have to have a relationship and a founded, rooted spirituality that doesn't come from religion. Because religion will teach you an eye for an eye and all of that. But relationship says, I'm going to love you, even if it means I'm having to love the hell out of you. Because think about how God had to love you. Even when you were figuring it out, He still yet loved. And you are one of the most beautiful friends that I can call on as a friend. And I don't take that word lightly. I know a lot of people just throw it around. And no, that life that you live, whatever's getting ready to take place in this half, I can't get your popcorn ready because it's going. Just don't buy no good. What is that? Because I'm so scared. No, sell that popcorn, please. Double good. One more
Double
fundraiser.
good.
I'm popcorn now. But just an amazing woman of God. And I just want to thank you. And I know we were late, you guys, and that's why we're gone over. And I'm looking at the clock. We're 56.35 seconds in, so I get it. But I want to give Cindy just an opportunity to close us out because this segment, as you hear from this dynamic, amazing, transparent, beautiful, authentic woman who is just as genuine and loves so many people. I want to give her, my friend, the last moment so y'all can go back and say, now that was a word. And I want that word to come from Cindy. So, Cindy, take it away for the last few minutes. And you don't even have to stay on topic, just say whatever your heart's desire at this moment.
Well, thank you again. Thank you for the opportunity to come on your podcast. Again, we had the conversation about people when you meet people in your chapter of your life and their season, etc., and how I wish I had met you sooner, but because I don't believe in coincidences, this is all divine. I met you when I was supposed to meet you, and look what's flourished because of it. So I thank you for the opportunity, and I do thank you for the friendship, and it is a real friendship. Um, I am simple, and I am not striving for perfection. Like I don't want to be perfect because once you're perfect, where can you go?
Mm.
I want to be always improving. So I'm not striving for perfection. I want to be authentic. I want to be dependable. I want to be loyal. I want to be trustworthy. I want my audio to always match my video. Whatever I say I'm going to do, I'm going to do, and I want you to know that I'm going to do it. So you're not going to see one person on social media or out on the street and a different person in another forum or away. I am the same person, the same person, the same person. And then the last thing I'll say is I do believe I'm walking in my purpose. In another season of my life, it may have been another thing. However, in this season of my life, everything that comes my way as of late has been about mentorship and empowerment. So I'm all for the progression of youth. I'm all for the progression of women. I'm all about self love. That requires people to take a hard look at themselves, do self assessments, self reflection. Um, and when my friends ask me for advice, they know that they're getting the real. So it's not sugar coated. It's not what they want to hear. It's what they need to hear. And the season of my life, the last portion of it is empowerment. I want people to see me and know that there's a small hometown girl from Monroe, South Carolina, who made it. And the definition of making it isn't a monetary gain. It isn't the educational gain. The making it is me. When I see someone from my hometown, from my high school, from class of 1993, or I see someone that I graduated the Sergeant's Major Academy with, or I see another colleague in which we were assistant professors together, they get the same person. Real, authentic, unapologetic, but full of love. And so when they say about character, what someone says behind your back, they're willing to say in your face. I do believe that, and I would hope that the conversations that people are having about me in front of my face, they're willing to say the same things of greatness and positive attributes behind my back. So,
Amen. And you all, now that was a word. Be so very blessed until we meet again. And Cindy, this one is for you. All of the thank you so much. You all have an amazing rest of your day. And until we meet again, be so very blessed.
thank you.